Well, hello there YouTube, this is Mr. Gibson Guy and welcome to my channel. Thanks for dropping by, it's nice to see you here. Today I've got a video that's telling a story, and it's about, this is of course the analog or film photography channel here. We cover all stuff about film and old cameras and where new cameras came from, and try to give you a little bit better understanding. And that's what this story is about today. I've had a lot of people that are interested in some of these old photography stories here. The title of this one is ADR, D of F Preview, Multi-Exp and Metered Manual. And the subtitle is, and other essential camera features that you must have. For 3/4 of the 20th century, photographic technology advanced at a snail's pace. And then right about 1975, all of that changed when cameras advanced from being mechanical clockworks to electronic instruments. The camera industry had to completely reinvent itself. Camera engineers discovered a million new things cameras could be equipped to do. Not really a million, but almost a million. I think it was 900,000 something. The result was that every new camera would become obsolete by the time you got it home from the camera store. Things were changing very fast. The technology was advancing very quickly. I bought my first real camera in November 1977. I selected the Minolta XG7, which was the latest thing in November of 1977, not in December. It featured aperture priority auto exposure, a compact, lightweight camera body, LED shutter speed display, and an LED front self timer. You could attach a Minolta 200X flash unit that would automatically set the camera's shutter to the correct sync speed, and also there was a flash-ready light flashing in the viewfinder when the flash was cycled and ready for exposure. It also mounted to the Minolta Autowinder G, which advanced your film at the rapid pace of 2 frames a second and made a really cool winding noise, most importantly. The camera also had a really cool superpower. This has to be considered a superpower. It shared this with its big brother, the XD series cameras. That power was, when connected with both the 200X flash unit, loaded with freshly charged NiCad batteries, and the Autowinder, the camera could make a series of flash exposures at a rate of 36 exposures in 18 seconds. Admittedly, not many practical applications for this feature come readily to mind, but points awarded for this feature found only in the Minolta cameras. No other company tried doing that. Just imagine a 36 exposure roll in 18 seconds. That's some kind of a record, with flash on every one, but only from the mind of Minolta. While I dearly loved my XG7, I soon became aware of some shortcomings that came with the camera. The camera lacked an ADR, that is, aperture direct readout, a D of F preview, that's depth of field preview button, multi-exposure capability, and metered manual operation. Did the absence of these features in any way hold me back in my photographic endeavors? Honestly, no. But how would I know that unless I possessed these features so that I could ignore them and just take pictures? Well, Minolta was already preparing to indulge me. A few months later, my beloved XG7 was discontinued from the line and replaced by the XG9. Scare sounds, Mom! The new replacement XG9 possessed all the brilliant features of the old XG7, but also included ADR, D of F preview, multi-exposure, and metered manual. All the features I was missing. So I should have been happy, right? All I had to do was unload my now obsolete XG7 and then pay a few dollars more for the new XG9. But I was not going to trust Minolta so readily this time. Sure, I could get all of these features I thought I wanted, but now, with the passage of time and learning more about photography, I also was expecting OTF-TTL flash metering. That means off the film plane through the lens flash metering. And on top of that, that's not enough, a true 12-volt motor drive complete with grab handle and auxiliary shutter release buttons. Not just some plain Jane little 6-volt auto winder. And true to form, Minolta came through with the incredible X700. Oh boy, did I love this camera. This beautiful, professional looking camera was the fulfillment of all my dreams as a Minolta photographer. There was just one problem. I visited, bad idea, my favorite pawn shop in Broward County and discovered they had an old Nikon F2 Photomic at a surprisingly low price. An F2 Photomic with a little tiny window up at on the top of the finder. It gave the f-stop. I bought the camera on site. I had only owned my X700 for a couple of months, but I wasn't planning on seriously using this antique Nikon. I just wanted to own it. Until that same afternoon. We took the kids to the beach that afternoon, and not expecting anything from this ancient camera I had picked up, I put a roll of Fujicolor 100 in the camera and loaded up the ancient Nikon and went to the beach and took pictures of the kids playing on the beach and in the water and in the sand. And we went back to the house, and on the way back I dropped off the film at the 1-hour counter at the drugstore. That was the big thing. The drugstores all had 1-hour photo for 35mm back then, and they were busy all the time. 60 minutes. An hour later, with very low expectations, I went back to the drugstore and picked up my prints. To my complete total surprise, I found that the drugstore prints were the most brilliant color-saturated prints I had ever seen. After reviewing the prints over and over, there was no denying what had to happen, and I determined that all of my Minolta gear was on its way to KEH, and I would become a Nikon photographer after that. And I brought a couple of pictures to fill in for you here on our big problems. First of all, ADR, aperture direct readout. I can do this on the XD11 because it has it. I can't show it to you on the XG7 because I don't have an XG7, and an XG7 doesn't have it, so I can't show you. I can show you here. All right, aperture direct readout. Press the release button here, twist this till the red comes up, and I take the lens off. Then, when you look right here, you see this little dark thing right there? That's a window that has a mirror that leads into the viewfinder. And on that, you can read these numbers which are on the lens. Those numbers tell the story of what f-stop your camera is set on. And that little window reads these numbers off of here, and you see them in the viewfinder. That is an ADR. And the XG7 does not have an ADR. The XG9 does have an ADR. All right, and then next we had Where did that go? Oh, no, here. Okay, brilliant feature. Also include ADR, D of F, depth of field. Now, this is the depth of field button, and it closes down the aperture on the lens to what it's set for taking. These are full aperture metering cameras, so they stay at maximum aperture until you take the photograph. Then it stops down, and you can preview that. Let's see, I'll put it on f8, which would be a lot different. All right, so this is looking through the lens wide open, and watch what happens when I push the button. See that? Closes it down because the aperture opening gets smaller and smaller. That is the depth of field preview, so you can see it before you take your picture. The third one is metered manual, and that's just where you set the camera to manual and you set your shutter speed where you want it, and when you look through the lens it will be blinking on the shutter speed that the camera meter suggests that you use, and then you can adjust it by turning your shutter speed selector and your f-stop to whatever works for you for whatever underexposure that you want. And then finally, what was it? Metered manual. Oh, multi-exposure. Yeah. Multi-exposure. This is a really big thing. I had to have a camera that could do multi-exposure, and I did eventually get one. And I shot 3 multi-exposures with it. Would that be 6 exposures? Yes, it would be, because it's half an exposure each. And so I'm going to show you these 6 exposures together. This is me beside myself, sitting on the couch. Of course, you can see down the middle is a little bit darker here. That's because we took one half of the picture and then I took the other half of the picture. To do multiple exposures correctly, successfully, you really need to have your camera planted firmly on a tripod, and don't let any motion happen to that camera while it's on the tripod. It has to stay still. And then here I am thinking, what would I do if I couldn't fall asleep? So these are all self-portraits here that I did double exposures on. And these were all done with my f3 Nikon that I have. Here we go. Split down the middle again. And me, myself, and I only putting both legs up like that, connected. Makes a funny looking picture. With the Nikon F3, whether it's got a motor or not, probably you can turn the motor off for this. If you want to do a multi-exposure, you put the camera on the tripod, you put your filter holder here that holds a split card that covers up one half the lens and then puts it on the other side and covers that up. So you take half a picture at a time. And the best thing to do with your camera, if you have an f3, this will work. This little lever here is the multi-exposure lever. You push it forward like that and take a picture, and it will. You can wind the film and it won't turn. The film won't go anywhere. It will stay in the same registration. This pops up. If you want to do another one, do it that. Take another picture, and then this will pop up, and you will have done both of your exposures, one side and the other, the top and the bottom, the side and the other side. But this is the easiest way to do it. The f3 has this very useful multi-exposure arm. It's real easy to use and doesn't knock your camera off track of what it's been aimed at. So you have your best chance of having your multi-exposure come out. And, last part. This was me at age 33, about 1986. And this is my new Nikon F2 Photomic. Right there, you can see. And here it is. hanging off a camera strap around my neck. I will point out one thing on these two pictures, these self-portraits I did. The Nikon camera is in the picture, so it was not taking the picture. So whatever these pictures look like, they were done with the soon to not be mine Minolta camera that took those. So these are prints from Minolta. These are prints from Nikon that I did in my local lab in the darkroom at my school, and they're black and whites. So that's the whole story of the necessary stuff that we have to do photography, or we think we do. You can do a lot more with what you have than you realize when you go looking into stuff. But at least now everybody's looking at it in hindsight, because this stuff is all old. We were facing it when it was just coming out this and this and this and this and this and this and trying to make sense of the whole thing. So I hope you found this a useful look back in photography history, and maybe you got a chuckle out of it. I hope that you might have. It's meant to be a fun story, but it's true. All right, so I'll see you on the next one. This is Mr. Gibson Guy. I'm out of here.